One of the stocks I get asked about with the most frequency is WWE. Yes, I'm talking about the wrestling company. A lot of investors, they watch Monday Night Raw, Thursday Night SmackDown, pay-per-view events. Perhaps they even have the wrestling network and they just really enjoy the theatrics of wrestling, and they say, hey, I understand this business. Steve, what can you tell me about the stock? So there is a very interesting plot line that's just happened with the company over, say, the last 6 months. And I figured that maybe it would be worth taking a few minutes to chat about with you guys, because quite frankly, it's kind of interesting. So if we actually look at the actual company, what happens in the ring mirrors what's happening with the actual stock, the actual business, to some extent, right? So we got Vince McMahon, who you probably know is the CEO and the largest shareholder of WWE. Well, he was involved in a scandal just this last summer. It actually started to unfold last April and then really sort of came to a head in June when the Wall Street Journal started reporting on everything that was happening. But it's not the first scandal that Vince has ever had. In fact, he had relations with a referee named Rita Chatterton, who went on Geraldo Rivera years ago, back in 1992. And she actually said that Vince made her give him oral sex in order to keep her job. Here's a clip of her with Rivera, with Geraldo, whatever he prefers to be called, discussing what happened.
He knew that I had a daughter and that he could either make me or break me. The choice was mine. And he made me have oral sex with.
So the recent news has nothing to do with Rita, but I found it interesting when looking into Vince's history because, as they say, a leopard never changes its spots. Well, last summer, the Wall Street Journal originally broke a story that Vince had paid $3 million in hush money to a victim of sexual misconduct, and nobody really knew about it. Then the Wall Street Journal really blew it open when they said that there was another 3 women, and in total the hush money that Vince had paid out over 16 years amounted to $12 million. So the first woman was paid $3 million. She was a paralegal for WWE, and she actually also allegedly had sexual relations with the head of talent for WWE, John Laurinaitis, formerly known as Johnny Ace. Then there were 2 women that were paid $1 million each, and then there was a 4th woman who received $7.5 million. And her story was that she had a contract with WWE, and it wasn't renewed in 2005 after she declined to continue performing fellatio on Vince. Then on June 17th, at which point we realized, okay, the Wall Street Journal clearly has some sort of inside source here, because on the 15th, the Wall Street Journal announces that there's a formal investigation launched by WWE's board into all of Vince's alleged misconduct. And we also find out that the board found out about this because someone who claimed to be friends with the former paralegal sent the board an anonymous email. Okay, so now we have this investigation going into Vince, and on June 17th, so this is 2 days after WWE announces their formal investigation into Vince, Vince steps down as CEO and chairman of WWE, and he names his daughter Stephanie as the interim CEO and chairman of the company. His son-in-law, Triple H, who you probably know as a wrestler, and obviously Stephanie's wife, if you're unfamiliar, he was going to take over talent relations from Johnny Ace, John Laurinaitis. So Stephanie, who presumably has poured all of her love, energy, heart, and soul into WWE since she was probably a teenager, maybe even younger than that, she finally gets an opportunity. She's at the helm. Her husband, and it seems like they have a great relationship. I don't follow wrestling that closely. I don't follow the gossip, but it seems like they got a great relationship. Her husband is right there with her, and now she has an opportunity to shine. But let's flash back 20 years ago. There's a clip on the internet of Stephanie on Howard Stern talking about how her father could one day cut her out of everything, and she just had a general level of distrust with her father.
I guess when your dad retires, you guys take over the mother load, right?
Well, hopefully.
That's the plan.
I mean, he wouldn't cut you out, would he?
Oh, yeah, he could, you know.
Is he a good dad?
Oh, no less than Mr. Hustle, Loyalty, and Respect, John Cena!
About 1 month after Vince makes his appearance on Raw is War, he officially announces his retirement. But oddly, at the same time, he announces a co-CEO for Stephanie to work with, Nick Khan, who also happens to be a current board member. Shortly after this, John Laurinaitis, Johnny Ace, is fired. So at this point, it's clear that Stephanie, who finally got that opportunity to run the company, well, she no longer has autonomy because Vince, who appears to be somewhat of a control freak, well, he's brought on a co-CEO. Then everything goes quiet for a few months. We get into the new year, and on January 6th, well, we discover that Vince has plans to return to WWE as executive chairman, taking the chairman role back from Stephanie. 4 days later, Stephanie retires. Nick gets the full job. Now he's the sole CEO, Nick Khan, sole CEO of WWE. And Vince, well, he expresses his gratitude to his daughter for her service. He says, "I'd like to express my full support for Stephanie's personal decision. I'll forever be grateful that she offered to step in during my absence, and I'm truly proud of the job she did co-leading WWE. Stephanie has always been the ultimate ambassador for our company, and her decades of contributions have left an immeasurable impact on our brand. I can't speak to Stephanie's competence as a manager or whether she was even fit for the role, but quite frankly, reading about what Vince has done, at least in some aspects, it's hard to say that he's fit for the role. But when we actually look at the operating business, he's done all right. I'm going to get into that in a minute. Vince, well, his job now, he's the largest shareholder of WWE. It's well rumored that he is going to be shopping the company. And at this stage, the betting odds that we're finding online for potential suitors, well, the number one suitor appears to be Comcast, with Disney a close second. And there's lots of rumors all over the internet that it's very likely that the Saudi wealth fund is going to buy WWE, of which there's memes appearing all over the internet because everybody seems to think that this is going to happen for some reason. The company, which currently has a market cap of around $7 billion, give or take, has been on a bit of a tear this year, up 30% year to date, and shareholders have about 178% return over the last 5 years. I'm not sure what that works out to on a compounded annual rate, but I suspect it's quite high. As an operating business, annually it does somewhere between 100 to 220 million dollars. That's based on the last 12 months over the last, say, 12 quarters. So we can conservatively say that's probably on pace to do over $200 million revenue. That's net income this year. And $245 million in cash flow from operations just over the last 4 quarters. So the company does make money. Now, whether it's worth, 30 times operating cash flow or approximately 30 times net income, that's a whole nother debate, especially when it comes to an interest rate environment where the Fed is likely to take the neutral rate over 5%. That being said, there are companies with huge cash positions right now looking for content. And when we look at Apple or we look at Amazon, Netflix, you name it, they're all looking for ways to get more subscribers onto their platforms. And I think that this is going to be a very interesting acquisition for somebody. All right, guys, let me know what you think. Who do you think is going to buy WWE? Do you think that they're even for sale, or do you think that Vince retired briefly because he was a little disgraced and just got bored and decided he wanted to come back? Do you think that the brand is a little bit too damaged for a reputable company to want to purchase in the first place? Like would an Apple or a Microsoft or a Google or a Netflix want to even touch it, or a Disney? Did Stephanie want to leave her role? Was she fit for the role? You guys let me know what you think. I don't follow it that closely. I just loosely follow it from reading the headlines in the Wall Street Journal. I'd really like to hear what you guys think. We're really trying hard to engage with you guys, our audience. So please, guys, let me know your thoughts. Give us some comments. And if you haven't already, please give us a follow, a like, a retweet. We greatly appreciate your support. Let's have a great 2023, everybody.